Hi, how are you doing? We're waiting for a couple of things to come online. Before I introduce myself, let's see what's going on here. Going on here. Turn this down there so I don't get any feedback. Then I can share this real quick. Here. Yeah. Turn this down there so I don't get any feedback. Then I can share this real quick. Okay. Even though, yeah, I will do that there. So I don't get any feedback. Then I can, there you go. Alright. Share this real quick. I hope this doesn't come back with a lot of feedback. Is that better? That should be better. We'll get this sound audio down. You know, the live streaming takes a little bit of thing to set up, but we're going to get right into the healthy mind. We're on the rational issues, so alright, I'm going to start that Facebook there and checking connections. So we'll wait till everybody comes on here and here and here and here and get it all going. I know that I'm streaming on YouTube Live also, and I have the other live channels coming on. So they're all coming online. Some of you are going to catch a little bit more than a little bit others, it seems like. Maybe that's just because of where the camera is viewed in space. And let's hope that works out real well. Good morning, everyone. I just want to say, hey, I'm Dr. Paul. And I told you I'm going to be coming to you every day. I usually be doing podcasts. And because we're stuck at home, good morning. Hi, Val. How you doing? I'm going to be doing a little podcast here on the healthy mind. Since we're all staying at home, I hope you all got your prayers, meditation, and exercises in, because that's what we do at our coffee crew here at 5:45 a.m. But So the healthy mind. So we're going over the three different things. The three different things of the healthy mind is, yesterday I talked about we have three sections of minds. We have the emotional mind, we have the wise mind, and we have the rational mind. And I'm going to be breaking these down into different pieces of, right now we're going to do the rational mind. Okay, so the rational mind, we know that it uses more of like less flexible thinking. Okay, so and the reason why I'm doing this, and let me go back a little bit, because I got asked this question before. They asked someone that inboxed me and said, Dr. Paul, why are you want to go over these section of minds? And the reason why is because in this time of crisis, I think we are just a little bit tight now, and we're not fully engaging within ourselves. I know people are trying. I know people have a little bit of a difficulty time engaging in themselves. And what I mean engaging in themselves, like digging into their own self-perspective or self-perception, right? So, but if you understand your mind, and I'm not trying to change your mind, everyone has their own ideas, everyone has their own beliefs, and I think that's great. I think it's amazing. But I want you to understand what you call the timeline of your understanding. And so, just to give you what a blueprint of a rational mind is. So we do know all things are vibrational, and I apologize if some of you haven't seen. So we know things are all vibrational, and in vibration, that's how we send our signals to the rest of part of our brain. In the rational mind, we do a lot of realistic thinking. So if we're doing realistic thinking on the word crisis, and I talked about this before, you're going to go into a safety mode. There's just no way around it, because that's what the mind does when you hear the word crisis. Now, crisis for many people can be many different things, depending on your type of level of training, depending on where you've been in your life, depending on where you've been in the world. I get it. But crisis is still a word, and I've said this many times. Words have meanings, and meanings have what you call a function. And the reason why words have meanings, because this is in linguistic terms, words have been studied for a very long time and how they affect us. That's why more scientists have been studying language and the body and the mind. I mean, one of my favorite scientists or philosophers is Descartes, and he had the whole mind-body experience going on. And even then, he moved into linguistics, and linguistics meaning how words affect our sensory perception. So we have our senses, right? Sensory. So if vibration and crisis and sensory, and then we have our five senses. Don't forget about our five senses, and those five senses are important. And the reason why those five senses are important, because it's a function, right? It's a function of how we connect with all things around us, right? Through our eyes, through our touch, through our taste, through our smell, through our hearing. So these senses have a proponent of information. And that's what the one thing that I even teach in all my martial science students and all the students that I've trained throughout the many years. Most educated martial artists know and scientists know that the senses are they're just information. They're not perceived fact. A smell is what you smell, not what you think you smell, right? So this is all just information, and information is then coded into the sensory, right? And then that sensory part, in the middle part of our brain here, in the middle part of our brain has a lot to do with that prefrontal lobe. The prefrontal lobe, where the rational mind sits, sensory in the center part of our brain, it has what you call, it starts to connect. That's my spine. Okay, it starts to connect the different things into the body. So, you know, the one thing we have to understand now, and this is just a word, right? We have vibration, which we know we are, and then we have, so we're talking about the healthy mind. To understand the healthy mind, understand the process that's going on in the brain. If you don't understand the process that's going on in the brain, your mind will only start to try to predict, try to calculate, and that's what rational minds do. They calculate. It's a function that it does. It tries to reason, right? It's got reasoning skills. It's got reasoning skills. It's got the way it handles things and the way it forms ideas. It has projected of thought. This is why meditation is so important. And meditation is important to not stop the rational mind, but is ultimately to slow it down into long. So in your rational mind, if I can dictate what a meditation is that instead of seeing the word rational, you see the R and the formation of the R. Each line, each curve, each segment, each down. And that's, you do that with each of the rational thought, right? Instead of seeing rational, you start to see the one line, the curve, the formation of the R. And then the formation of the R is very helpful and useful. This helps you when you slow down through a meditation or understanding where your historical perception comes from. Because so many people, and I've talked about this before with the 5 E's. The 5 E's is, and these are blocks. The 5 E's are experiences, environment, expectation, energy, and we can hear think of the other 5 E's is, right? So you have experience, expectation, energy. Someone's talking. So let's write it down. So you have energy, expectation, environment, education. You have energy, expectation, environment, education. Anything else? Can anyone think about what the other E is? Because it's 5 E's. Expression. These things are blocks. And the reason why they're blocks, because they can be helpful or they can be hurtful. And if they're helpful, then you understand your energy, your expectations, your environment, your education, and your expression. Because the rational mind tries to perceive, block, or stop. Right? Perceive, block, or stop. That's what the rational mind does. And in that sensory perception, now we're talking when it comes to the time frame we're in, and this is where the healthy mind comes in. When you have different words like pandemic, crisis, or any word that's going to trigger the amygdala, which is the oldest part of our brain, to fight, flight, or freeze, we need to understand what that word means to us individually. If we don't understand what that word means to us and how we are driven by the word in our sensory, then these things, these vibration and the vibration code starts coming down the spine and it starts reacting in the body. And it can react in an unhealthy manner. It can react in an unhealthy manner. Does it always? No. Can it? Yes. The only way it won't is if you understand the history of your mind. The history of what it means to you. For instance, when someone gets tense or someone gets nervous and they don't know why, then who is running what? Because you remember, the study of language, and this is why writers and scientists, and I'm not going to talk about the evils of power and the political powers and our leaders who use certain words to trigger certain things, right? But they are using those words to get you to move in a different way, to move in a way they want you to move, to react in the way they want you to react. That's why I teach emotional reaction training, is to understand what your body is, what your mind is, and what you're able to do. Because when you start to get very tense in all action, your small motor skills shut down. And then your rational thought gets blanketed and blacked out. And now you're looking for someone to tell you what you need to do or what you need to be. And that's not good. Because if someone is telling you where you should be doing, should be, what you need to be, well, now someone's built a construct around you. Someone's developed you into a box. And that's the box where cattle go to die, right? Where they get put into the little gate, and then all of a sudden they're getting smashed in the head. Well, for you to free your mind is to understand your mind. That's why they never say free your brain, right? The reason why you can't free your brain, because the brain is a chemical muscle station. It's going to do what your mind allows it. What your mind allows it. This is why I want to do the Healthy Mind. I know we don't have much time. I don't like to take up too much of your time and to keep you going early this morning. But you have any questions, you can always inbox me, straight to inbox me. You can always listen to some of my podcasts, iHeart and iTunes Radio. And so we're going to be doing this to keep going over the rational mind. Now, the next part after this, I'm going to bring you into the cellular body to understand how the body functions on the cellular level when you start to think of these words. So you can keep these as notes, write them all down, watch it later, share it with your friends. Again, I'm Dr. Paul. Thank you for joining me this morning, every morning. Remember, it's not just to stay positive. It's not just to stay active. It's not just to stay, it's to wake up. Open up your mind. Don't let something box you in, but understand where your boxings are coming from, and you'll be great. I love you, and I give you all blessings. Thank you.